G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, in the last video you would have seen we got this freebie air compressor off a Gumtree. An amazing pickup, I mean, pretty incredible. Brother-in-law came down with his D-Max twin cab ute and he couldn't get it in. He had so much junk on board it wouldn't go in. Plus it's a tub on the back, not a tray top like mine. They're bloody useless things, really. And to make it worse, it's got a canopy on it, so you can't drag the unit up a ramp. I've got some ramps that you would use for a quad bike or something like that. You can't drag it up because the friggin' cabs and canopy's in the way. So the only way to get this into the back of the ute is with the engine crane. I mean, I've got an engine crane. A lot of people have got them. They're really handy if you want to lift heavy stuff. Now the problem with the engine crane is if you put the straps or ropes or chains on this to the centre point, it's going to come against this plastic stuff. It's going to break stuff, Coming in, the chains coming on an angle to a centre point is really bad news. You have to have a spreader bar. Now for years I've been going to make a spreader bar. Now a spreader bar enables you to put the hook, the lifting point at the centre, the bar goes across and then you have the straps, chains or ropes going down at 90 degrees to the object, so you don't pull against stuff you shouldn't. You get a direct lift. They're very, very handy. They're easy to make. And that's what I've been doing today. I've been knocking up a spreader bar to get this thing into the back of his ute, and also I'll probably give it to him to take it home and get it off again. He's got an engine crane up there, the same as I've got one down here. So I'll show the spreader bar I made and what I made out of. It's really easy to make, and yeah, it's a good little project if you've got an engine crane. Well, it's that time of night. It's time for a glass of red with a bit of ice in it. It's like 36 degrees today, so red wine with ice. It's out of a box, so it's not classy stuff, but it's good when you've had a hard day and you've just had your tea. Yummy. Now I don't normally film after tea like this, but it's just that there's some sort of car race going on in Adelaide today and they're making lots of friggin' noise. Tomorrow it's going to be a sad day, and every man and his dog will be screaming and yelling, and kids going crazy, and dogs barking and lawnmowers going. So we'll film this tonight. So what you can see is I've got a bit of square section here that I picked up off the side of the road. It was an old bench, and it measured up at, what's that, 48 by, this is imperial stuff, so it's 48 by 48, about 2 mil thick, plenty strong enough. And what I've used on this as a centre lifting point is a towing point from one of my old cars, an old Mazda 626 I had years ago, rear wheel drive, Mazda 626, nice car, really went well, it had the same basic chassis, floor pan, suspension, everything as the RX-7, but it only had a 4-cylinder motor. Anyway, when I had a tow bar fitted, they took these tie-down points off, and you can see I've cut out the centre section and used that for the lifting point. And then on each end I've put on some points for D-shackles, so you can have D-shackles on there, chains to go down. So they're on each end. Now I've got a bracing rod in here. You don't really need it. This is pretty strong stuff. To bend this with a crane which is rated at say 1.5 tonne is never going to happen, but I put it on anyway to give it extra strength. And also, as you can see, I've got angle brackets on the end here so that you can use either D-shackles and chains on the bottom, or you can use straps or ratchet straps, like you use to tie down stuff, on the top, and it won't hurt the straps because it's a nice flat smooth area. You don't want to use ratchet straps with D-shackles. You could mangle up your nice straps. Now you've got 100 mil here. My 1.5 tonne straps are only 50 mil wide, so they'll fit in there easily. So you can fit them there, or you can fit them in here. It gives you a range of options. Now if you make one of these, you can put a strip of metal right across the base with a whole lot of holes drilled all the way across, and that gives you a whole lot of mounting points. in the real world, when you go to use these, you almost certainly will be using the external points. So I've just put these on the end, and that will give you enough lifting range. You know, it'll work fine. So there it is. I mean, I haven't painted it up yet. It's just been a weld up job today. And overall, it's turned out pretty damn good. So here it is in the vise. We spin around. You can see the 400 amp cables going across to my little welder, and I use that Banggood welder, the little 250 amp welder, and it is absolutely awesome. I got to say, this thing welds 3.2 rods like nothing I've ever used before. It does a fantastic job. And I welded all this up with 3.2 rods because 2.5 wasn't enough. And I did a double pass on all the welds, so I welded it through first, and then I did a second pass over to make sure it had maximum strength. But this is one hell of a good welder. So there it is, my poor old 160 amp AC welder will probably never ever get used again. I mean, this little DC welder welds way better than the AC welder would ever weld on 3.2 rods. And it does it all on a 10 amp plug. I mean, it didn't even trip the breaker. I mean, if I was to weld 3.2 with the old AC welder, it would trip the 15 amp trip if I wasn't careful. You know, like this thing, I've had it wound up to 200 amps, and on 10 amp, not a problem. It just did it easy peasy. It's a hell of a good welder. I did have some issues originally when I welded with this, that I was getting arc blow, but the problem with that was that I wasn't using the right size rod. I stepped up to the next size rod as Miller suggested. I went to the Miller site and they said, look, DC can do this. Go to the next rod up. Welds perfectly, absolutely brilliantly. So it's a top little welder, I tell you. I did a review on this a while back, so go back through my videos and you can check it out and just see what's what. Terrific little welder. So there you have it. The old stick welder did a pretty good job. I did a double pass on these welds and had them super strong. As you can see, it all turned out pretty good. And I'm just a backyard welder, but that'll never fall off. Certainly way stronger than the 1.5 ton crane is capable of. And as you see, there's no spatter, no spit. You know, like stick welding, if it's set up right, can do a good job. The worst welding I've ever seen has been done with gasless MIG. I mean, I wouldn't have gasless MIG at any price. I think it's total rubbish. If you're going to use MIG, yeah, use it with gas. It does a terrific job, but gasless, I think it's trash myself. I would never consider using it. And our stick welder would do a better job, I think, with the same sort of inverter welder. I'll probably get flamed on that, but I don't really care. You can flame away. I don't give a stuff, quite frankly. So there you go. Simple job. Yeah. So now I've got a spreader beam. Interesting. If you look up on Google for spreader beam, you don't get exactly what you expect. It's certainly got nothing to do with the workshop. All I'm going to say is do it and see for yourself. But yeah, bit of scrap and you're good to go. That's it from me. That's the latest project. Coat of paint down the track maybe, and it'll look as good as something at the store. Alright, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Cheers.